And then for LRAS, it's going to be based on something a bit different, which is supply side policies. We were touching on that last time. Do you remember that example of supply side?
Uh, no, not quite.
The one about the train?
The HS2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we have these different types of supply side policies. Supply side policies are the range of policies, various policies,
Hmm.
so many different types of them. So you just have to remember what they all have in common. They aim to increase the productive capacity, the productive potential of the economy, and it can be shown with a right shift in the LRS curve. Okay.
Hmm.
You can also do a outward shift in the PPF curve, the one from my curve, but
Yeah.
useful. And you can also do a right shift in the Keynesian aggregate supply curve.
Oh.
So it could look anything from, so PPF could go out, but that's less useful to actually do. So I wouldn't do that one. But the other two are completely fine. So you could do LRAS going this way. Um, and you could,
Mhm.
um, but then the thing is, right, the best one to do is going to be maybe something like this, which has you've got your AD curve,
Yeah.
you've got your Keynesian um, aggregate supply curve. And what it does is it will look something like this. It will look like an outward shift that way.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's your Keynesian aggregate supply before and after the policy. And it's the best one to use because it shows you're getting an increase in real GDP and you're also getting a decrease in the price level because we're further away from full capacity.
Yeah.
Cool. So there are two categories of supply side policies. I'm not going to really go into too much detail to confuse you, but I'm
Hmm.
just going to go through all the examples. What was that about interventionist and market data? So interventionist wise, we've got anything that involves the government spending and doing more to
Hmm.
really push people to be more productive. So that could be spending money on infrastructure. And that includes tube stations, train lines, roads,
Yeah.
airports, stuff like that, including HS2, where they spent a lot of money um, to try to build a fast train service from London to the north of the UK. And the aim is to increase productivity and therefore increase the productive potential of the economy. And you can go to detail about productivity, output per worker, how the train will allow people to be more productive and get more out of their day, right?
Hmm.
What else could they spend money on to boost productivity?
Um, like labor, like, and they can get more like capital people, the firms.
Yeah. Wait, how would they get workers to be more productive? What would they actually spend on?
Um, Wages.
Like how would the government get random people that like they can't just pay people more wages? How would the government get
Yeah.
workers for different companies to be more productive?
Um, and
Um, what could you do to what could like why would some people um be more productive in their job compared to other people who have a low skilled job?
a low skill job.
Yeah,
Um,
what
oh,
cause
training.
yeah, that's it. Spending on education and training.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, for example, apprenticeship schemes or various types of training. Good. For example, Rishi Sunak was trying to get people who didn't do well in maths, they could continue to
Oh yeah.
18, so that kind of thing. Um, which gives them more skills compared to if they didn't do it, which could lead to them being more productive in the future.
Mhm.
And he also encouraged people to take up apprenticeships compared to university degrees, depending on their preferences. Whereas before there was always a strong preference for university, but he realized that some people may end up being more productive if they took it. But overall, the idea is spending on
Mhm.
education and training will lead to a higher level of skill and therefore a higher productivity and therefore an increase in productive potential of the economy. Those are the main two things that they spend money on, although there are some other types. What I think this is a bit which you struggle a bit more on. What could the government do in terms of like stepping away or reducing stuff that could also lead to improvements in incentives and productivity?
What do you mean reducing things? Like
Is there anything
like
else the government can do to help people to help people work harder or work better or encourage more people to work?
um
They could reduce income tax, right? So we were talking about income tax earlier.
yeah.
What is income tax?
Like a tax on like depending on how much you spend. So on your well on
Depending on how much
you earn, sorry, nothing.
yeah. So if the government reduced income tax, what would that encourage?
People to work because they'll like basically earn more.
Yeah, good. So, and rather than saying generically, a really good example would be skilled workers, like surgeons. What do a lot of really skilled workers do if they get upset about how much taxes they're paying? What kind of things might they choose to do?
Strike.
Yeah, strike if they're not getting paid enough. What else?
Mm,
What where where are a lot of people moving to from the UK? Where are they moving?
revenue.
Yeah, just in general, where do people what other like nice countries do people
What?
talk about moving to?
Well, I mean, I don't know, like America.
Yeah. Like a lot of doctors say they would rather work in America or Australia, and a lot of people business
Oh,
they talk about moving to Dubai
oh, okay, fair.
because of lower taxes, right?
Like,
So if the UK government reduced income tax, it would encourage skilled workers to remain in the country or to come back to the country, and that would increase the overall productive potential of the UK economy, like incentives, right?
mhm.
Also, the workers who come back are more likely to be high skilled. This policy doesn't really affect people on low incomes, as low income people get taxed low amounts anyway, and they also have to work anyway. But this is really going to focus on getting high skilled workers to return or come to the UK.
Cool.
So there's an even better benefit there. Um, what else could they reduce? A different type of tax that could help.
Um,
What's the other main type of tax? Indirect tax. Sorry, direct tax that the government collects. Income tax from workers and what other tax do they collect?
corporation.
Yeah. Do you know what corporation tax is?
Is it from the revenue of the firms?
Yeah, profit of businesses.
Profit. Yeah.
And again, if businesses get taxed less on their profits, it may encourage more businesses to set up their practices in the UK compared to in
It's,
other countries like Ireland or like I don't know, like just somewhere.
yeah.
Um, good. And then one other thing which is a bit more like unrealistic is to reduce unemployment benefits. People who don't have a job will be able to claim unemployment benefits whilst they look for a new job. And in some extreme cases, some people don't work at all because they're comfortable just living off the unemployment benefits.
Mhm.
So if they reduce the unemployment benefits, they may be more desperate to get a job. But again, this is the more extreme, and it also affects inequality, as there may be some people who are genuinely struggling to get a job. But
Yeah.
the first two especially are good ones, and the third one's still fun to write about as it's got good evaluation points.
Mm.
Perfect. So overall, those are like the three curves and the factors of all of them. So we've basically kind of gone into the three curves, what shifts them, and then also how to describe the changes in like the impact of changes of GDP and unemployment and also price level. Perfect.